What's going on, everybody? If you're new around here, so am I. My name is Tyler. I am from Ohio, and this is my shop. This is my 2017 Focus ST. Currently, it has a 2.3 stroker that I built last winter. I've had problems with it ever since, and I've put about almost 1,000 miles on it since the build, and I'm going to insert a cell phone video here of what the oil looks like, and you'll see why we're beginning this teardown. So as you can see, there's some bearing material in the oil. So the plans for this upcoming couple of months, we're going to take the motor out of the car, we're going to take the transmission out of the car, we're going to send the transmission off to California. Transmission is going to get built. We're going to be getting axles. We're going to take the motor to a local machine shop here. They're going to send it out to be sleeved. They're going to upgrade the head studs more than they already are. We're going to beef those up because I know a few people lift heads on these cars. And we're going to possibly toy with some nitrous spray in the bottom end. We will have to see as that all comes together and I take it to the track and test with the new setup. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish tuning on this car. I would estimate I was about 350 horsepower on the stock 4 injectors on 93. I have an extra 4 injectors and an aux fuel rail. I didn't get to get those going, but the setup should make 550 to 600 wheel horsepower with methanol and spray, maybe a little bit more, 650, 700. So the goal is to get this car mid 10 second. Welcome to the channel. Let's get this motor out. Before we get this motor out, I've got to change this light out. So hang tight. It's not perfect, but I'll have to do for now. See how it works. Oh yeah. It's so much brighter than any other light that I have in the shop. Alright, so now that we've got light in the shop, let's get tearing her out. Alright, time to get some of these coolant hoses out of here. I think it's time to pull this off. I just made a major error. Don't do what I did. Take your hood off first. Duh. Alrighty, so now that we got the front end off, let's start taking some of this motor apart. See how this goes. I gotta get it replaced. There we go, that opens up so much access for us here. Yeah, you can see the focus right there. It just snapped that plastic off, and there were wires that go in here on a stud, and they were soldered, but no longer. Junk. I think next is to take a break. I got a lunch date with the girlfriend. We'll come back, revisit this. Till then, see you guys in a moment. All right, guys, so a quick little status update here. Let's see. I have the water block here disconnected, water outlet block, so all these hoses are free. They will stay behind. I've got the transmission shift cables and the clutch line zip tied up out of the way. The transmission is all free and clear. All wires are off. All wires are off. Transmission up here is ready to come out. So now it is time to continue over. We're going to take these wheels off and we'll get back to it. Let's drop these coilovers out, and we can slide the axle out of the knuckle and try to pull it out of the transmission. So, if you ever get this back bolt out on these cars and you can't get the knuckle to separate enough to let the coilover drop out of the knuckle body there, grab yourself a piece of steel and your bolt and come in the opposite side with the steel wedged in the middle there. Essentially use that piece of steel as a stop, and you run that bolt back in. And it drops right out. Remove your steel. And drop the knuckle the rest of the way off. Run your axle out, move the knuckle out of the way, and then suffer. Alright, so I ended up getting this axle out using a crowbar coming behind here up against the transmission, just prying it out, because it was pretty stuck. On to the next one. Same situation I had on the other side. Got that bolt out. Pull the steel out. And it drops right off. All right, so now that we have the strut off, the knuckle pushed out of the way as best we can, we need to take off this axle carrier bearing right here. And because in my case, there is a turbo right there, I can't get to the standard clamp for it, so we're just going to go ahead and remove the entire carrier bearing. Hell yeah, that one just pulled out. If you don't have one of these Milwaukee battery ratchets, you need to get yourself one. They are an absolute lifesaver. Alright. That's that. Got one bell housing bolt left, and this thing could come out. Alright guys, so camera died right as I got the transmission free. What I had to do is take the back bolt out of the subframe for the center motor mount there. And once I did that, it was just a wiggle game, and she came down. So now she's on the ground. She decided to puke out a lot of her transmission fluid, so we're going to disconnect from the hoist here, drag it out of the way, and clean up the mess I made. Alright, now I can move on to getting the motor rest of the way out. Yeehaw. Let's go reinstall this removal hook on the back of the head. We took it off. I can't remember why when we put this in, but gotta put it back on. Alright, so right here is the hook I was talking about to be on the back of the motor. And it touches my cowl dump here, which also destroyed my windshield, but for removing the engine, it's not going to be an issue. It just was in the way, or it would have been vibrating up against this and rubbed a hole in it, and then I would have had all my extremely hot exhaust just blasting out into the side of my engine bay here. And that's no good. So we're going to go ahead, hook up a strap, and take this last motor mount off, and we'll get this puppy out of here. Something that I like to do when I can, especially with flywheel, you can. Once you get it all taken apart, so you don't lose any of your hardware, loosely reassemble. So if you saw, I've got the flywheel bolts in there so they can't fall out and go anywhere. Alright, now that nightmare's done, let's get her on the ground. Alright, so there you have it. Thanks for hanging out while I pull this motor and transmission. That is going to do it for today's video. Come back hopefully next week and we will get this all stripped down, all cleaned up and ready for the machine shop, and then the transmission as well is going to get cleaned and ready to be sent out to be built. Then we got to tear into the car. We're going to clean up this engine bay. We're going to relocate the battery to the hatch and we'll go from there. Till next time, peace.